Despite printing every single card into the dirt, you can still collect Magic in 2023, and you can do it without ever touching the reserve list. Here's how. When it comes to modern Magic the Gathering, the idea of collecting the world's most popular trading card game feels like this far-off fantasy, and I know that's even wild just to say into a microphone, but with Wizards of the Coast overprinting everything, reprinting things into the ground, and then when we do get product, it's got 400 different variants, so we can't pick something we enjoy and really kind of bind onto that theme and build any nostalgia. Collecting and putting single cards in binders and being proud of what we have is this lost idea. So I wanted to challenge myself in 2023, in this era of modern Magic the Gathering, to find interesting and fun ways that, yes, I still believe you can be a collector in modern Magic the Gathering. So in today's part of this two-part series, we are going to talk about collecting single cards, kind of the theories I have behind collecting single cards, and actually where I'm spending my money and what I'm doing to build my binders and kind of add to my Magic the Gathering collection. So if you want more of this, if you like this idea and you like the theme, make sure you click subscribe. And I have a couple of rules that I have to follow during this test, and I made these rules for a reason. The first rule is no reserved list cards, and the reason for no reserved list cards is, well, frankly, I'm a believer in the reserved list. I like the fact that some of these old cards have value, that there are special things in Magic's history, and Magic is large enough where people can engage with the game without having to buy reserved list cards. And because of this, I think you can find a pod to play Magic in any way you want without having to use them. So you know what? No reserved list cards. Plus, it's just too easy to be like, oh, buy the reserve list. Yes, that's a very easy way to collect. The other rule is that I can't just pick the most expensive item out of any set. Here I have in my hand something I really do believe in. I have a Brothers War serialized card. I love serialized cards. I think they're great for Magic the Gathering. I think they add a really cool collection wrinkle to the mix when it comes to people trying to spice up their binders, but often they price out most people who want to buy one. And the idea of opening collector boxes to try to chase one down and spending all that money is just ridiculous. So just buying the most expensive of something is also out. And so to move forward on this and try to decide how I'm going to fill my binders, I had to come up with a couple pillars of beliefs. Now, I believe that the things I put in my binder, and I hope you take this belief and extend it to yourself as well, should be something that I enjoy opening my binder and seeing. It's not a cop-out to say the things that you collect should be things that you enjoy. I've mentioned several times on this channel, and we'll talk about it in the other part of this collecting series, that I like coming down into my office, into my studio, and seeing all of the sealed product on my shelf. Seeing these unique boxes here makes me happy, it makes me smile, and one day I hope to use them to either open, sell to buy something new, or engage in limited play with my group of friends. So I think what you collect has to hold an emotional value to you, and then I also think you have to do your best to protect the financial value of your collection. Listen, we don't want to buy something and then have it be half in value and a third in value later down the road. That doesn't bring us much joy, right? You want to do your best to try to plan against that. So I'm going to tell you how I'm planning against the Wizards of the Coast reprint machine and some things you can look forward to when it comes to collecting modern Magic the Gathering. But let's start on the emotional side when it comes to things that you find joy in. And where I'm looking here is the old player promos, the textless cards from Magic's early ages in Ravnica Block and things of that nature. Things like Tidings, Mortify, Putrefy, Electrolyze. These are all cards that were around during the start of my Magic the Gathering journey. Well, I guess not the start, but when I was really more into playing organized Magic and people started getting these things, when I was moved from the kitchen table to the game store. And seeing these things brings me a lot of joy. Now, if you take a look, most of these cards, not playable at all, but they seem in some weird way kind of pseudo-protected from the Wizards of the Coast reprint monster. Now, I already know you're typing in the comment section, you're telling me Wizards of the Coast will reprint anything, Josh, what are you doing? I'm aware that they're not actually protected. There's nothing stated by Wizards of the Coast saying, we will not reprint this card. However, reprinting a full art Electrolyze or a full art Mortify or a full art Terror, things of that nature, I just don't see them doing. There really is no benefit for them to do so. And because there's no benefit for them, I can't see them taking the time to make it happen. Now, as consumers, we can't really have it both ways. We can't talk about how corporate and greedy Wizards is, but then say they're going to give up money just to take the time to screw us over. It seems like I don't believe that's happening. And this fulfills the pillar of finding me joy. Now, I encourage you to go out there and try to find something that fits the same bill. What is, something that was there at the start of your Magic journey, at a pivotal moment in your Magic journey that does seem like it's hard to reprint? And promos like this, I think, are an excellent way to find some value in there. So I'm really high on all these old promos, things of that nature, and even old tokens looking way back towards the beginning of my Magic journey before I got into the LGS. I think those hold a lot of value. But when we look outside of promos and into the actual box, we have to fight the variant monster, right? There's 900 various versions of a card, and it's easy just to say, oh, buy the best Ob Nixilis from Streets of New Capenna, and that's your collectible. And I shouldn't have leaked Streets of New Capenna. It's kind of blow up one of my other strategies. But instead, I want to look outside that and try to build some ideas to just help me decide what I buy. And the ideas that I built when it comes to collecting Magic the Gathering were as follows. Again, just like our promos, I wanted to make it difficult for Wizards of the Coast to reprint. And while you can't do that with any just card or mechanic, you can do that with various themes. Looking no farther, again, I'll talk about Streets of New Capenna. The idea of families and the families that ruled in Streets of New Capenna is something that will be hard for Wizards of the Coast to reprint. More on this soon, but when you see a Maestros card or an Obscura card with Obscura in the name and things like that, it's like, when could they viably reprint this in large enough numbers to really take down most of my collection? They can, nothing is truly safe, but it's an interesting way to do so. You also have to avoid just buying the most expensive of anything. I could have looked at any old set or into the reserve list and just spent a bunch of money and been like, oh, look, I have a collection, but I think that's far less interesting. I wanted to find something that was extremely affordable and also something that has an opportunity to go up in value. And for that, I wanted a couple things. I wanted versatility and I wanted playable in the Commander format. So I think versatility is a big one. As Magic the Gathering sticks around, stands the test of time, and continues to change, versatility of various cards is going to become important. Cards can pop in and out of prominence, causing their price to go up and go down in that nature. And I also wanted them to be staples or playables, at least, in various Commander piles. As Commander is the most, popular way to engage with our game, I wanted the cards that I collect to be viable there. And finally, I wanted to pick a treatment that was hard to reprint. We talked about how Wizards of the Coast reprints cards, and the various treatments are part of this short window where you can't really fall in love with them. So I wanted to pick something that I fell in love with, I enjoyed, and would be difficult for Wizards of the Coast to go back on and find a new way to recreate or reprint. And because of this, I actually landed on the Gilded Foil Charms in Streets of New Capenna. Now, if you followed my live stream from last Friday, I added about 250 of these to a binder as a collection, like roughly 50 plus of each. That's not an exact number based on the TCG player orders. I added these all to my binder because I think they fit a lot of bills here. First off, I think they're hard to reprint. I think they have the family's name in the name of the card, and thematically, it's going to be difficult for Wizards of the Coast to find a way to slot one of them or two of them into a Commander deck here and there without including some other sub-themes to those families. I don't think that's very likely. Now, that doesn't mean they can't tomorrow come out with a secret layer that is all just the charms, just reprinted from Streets of New Capenna. They absolutely can. I just think it's a little bit of protection there. I also think the card fits the versatility bill. It can do a lot of things. You've seen these cards go in and out of various brews in several different formats, and they all have effects that are at least unique and sometimes interesting in Commander. Heck, one of the cards is a 3-mana draw 2 cards with a couple more modes on it. We know Commander players like those. So I think it fits a lot of that bill. And finally, the Gilded Foil treatment is something that looks like it takes a little bit of setup to make happen. It's not something that we had seen in the past. It's not something that we have seen much of since. And because of that, I feel like that specific foiling treatment was something that not only brought me a ton of joy and excited me a great deal, but also seemed to be a little bit safer from Wizards of the Coast just jumping in and reprinting it, something more so than your textured foils or your etched foils. It seems like going forward, we're going to see a lot of textured foils or etched foils. But I really think these pillars are good ways to sit there and look at collecting Magic the Gathering and find exciting ways to engage with that hobby. But what do you think? Do you think that there's no way you can collect modern Magic the Gathering, or do you think the idea of protecting yourself a little bit, finding some versatility, finding something that brings you joy, that you love to look at in a binder, do you think these are things that you can get behind personally and maybe start to build a little bit of a modern Magic the Gathering collection? Let me know in the comments section below. Until then, we're racing much faster than I anticipated, almost at 5,500 subs. 75% of you who watch this channel aren't subscribed yet. Make sure you click that sub button. Thanks for watching a little bit different style of a video. Make sure you're subscribed though for part 2, where we talk about sealed product collecting. And spoiler alert, I actually think you can still collect sealed product in 2022, but you can't just throw money at the problem. You got to put a little thought behind what you're doing, guys. Until next time, you all know me as my name is Josh. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for sharing this video with a friend or group of friends, all the other outro stuff, and we'll see you around as I smack the microphone. I get so excited when I punch it.